get that going again. Okay, you guys should all be seeing a blue screen that says HomeFundIt Opportunities for Real Estate Professionals. If you're not seeing that blue screen, it means my screen sharing isn't working. It says it is, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, a little bit about CMG. Founded in 1993 by Chris George. He's our president and CEO. He was recently the chairman of the MBA. CMG, for those of you who are real estate agents, large privately held mortgage bank. We did about 31 billion last year, probably similar this year. Top 15 lender, loan officers coast to coast, branches coast to coast, full range of lending programs that you might expect from a top lender, plus 2 exclusive programs that you definitely need to know about. One of them is the all-in-one loan. I call it the most powerful loan on the planet. It's the loan I have on my house. It'll change the way you think about mortgages and your money forever, so get familiar with that one. And make sure you're familiar with HomeFundIt. Good for you. You're here today. That's great. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. What does HomeFundIt do? 2 things. One of them is for your buyer. It solves the #1 problem that your buyer has, and as we all know, that's enough money to buy a house these days, right? Number 2 is for you. It helps you hold on to buyers who aren't ready today and make sure that you don't lose them, right? So 2 things that it can do. One is it can help your buyer become stronger, faster, ready to buy more, accelerate that timeline. And for you, it's making sure that you can hold on to these long-range buyers and not lose them along the way, because some of them aren't ready to buy till next year. Some of them have lots of things that they have to do first before they can buy, but you still want them to be your customer. And HomeFundIt happens to be really, really good at that. So let's talk about first-time buyers, because that's basically who's using HomeFundIt. That's basically who uses the down payment gifting activity. And the good news is first-time home buyers are most of the market. 82% of millennials, they want to buy a home. 63% of prospective buyers out there today are first-time buyers. So they really are in control of the market from a prospective buyer standpoint. But when you actually look at who gets to buy homes today, first-time home buyers are having a tough time, right? Only 26% of current home buyers are first-time buyers. And the big drop-off between who wants to buy a home, who gets to buy a home, is really caused by the fact that they're having trouble coming up with enough money to afford the home, right? So the down payment is the big part of that, having enough cash to be able to get in the game. Well, so today when people work on that problem, they have to deal with big issues out there. High home prices, rising rents are slowing them down from saving money. Student debt is slowing them down from saving money. And when you talk to renters, they'll tell you, 70% of them will tell you that the down payment is the #1 problem that they currently have. So how do they fix that problem? Well, the old-fashioned way and the standard way is to get a little help from somebody, right? And in 35% of cases, that is bank of mom and dad. Even though under Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines, other relatives can help out with the transaction, but they never do. Well, why is that? Well, we sort of all know the reason, right? And that's friction. Paper checks, chasing down gift letters, it's kind of inconvenient, and sort of the hassle factor of the whole down payment gifting process as it currently stands. And that's where we built HomeFundIt. We said, hey, let's take that whole thing online. We do everything else online, let's do this online as well. And that's really what HomeFundIt is. It's online down payment gifting. You can do it with a debit or credit card, no offline paperwork, just a few clicks, and people can go from having parents just giving to opening up some real possibilities for other people helping with that transaction. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, etc. Right? All of a sudden your buyer goes from, well, I was just going to get some help from bank of mom and dad, to, you know what, now that it's online, maybe it's going to be easier for me to ask other people that I'm related to, right? To be able to help with the down payment. And it opens up possibilities for your buyer that they really would have excluded. I mean, and the proper word here is excluded those people, because they don't want to pester them for gift letters, financial statements, paper checks, chasing those things down. So they just write them off, right? And so the bottom line is, now when you say, hey, this can be done online, all of a sudden the friction's gone, and those people, it's a lot easier to ask those people, and they do. And we see that over and over and over. And on HomeFundIt, anyone can give. Friends, teammates, co-workers, wedding guests, that's a big one. So it opens up possibilities for this huge playing field of connections that can help someone buy a home. Max donation is $5,000 per donor. That's actually just changing. It used to be $7,500. There are not a ton of gifts between $7,500 and down to $5,000. So $5,000 per donor is going to do a great job for your buyer. The campaign has no maximum, so they can collect as many of those as they can collect. And we see some very large campaigns, as you'll see later. There's no commissions or hidden costs. And any loan program, except for HFA bond programs, works with HomeFundIt. It sets up very, very easily. They go through some simple setup screens, and presto, they've got a page on the web where they can share it with their family and friends, and their family and friends can come in and make a donation. They can customize the photo, the story. They can customize the story from a default story to whatever they want. The loan officer and real estate agent are both featured on the campaign page. There's a place in the upper right-hand corner where people can make a donation to the campaign really easily. There's a second way to add funds to a campaign. I'm going to talk about that in a second. It's called HomeFundIt. And in the bottom right, you can see where all the contributions are coming in. We match those contributions 2 to 1 up to the lesser of $2,000 or 1% of purchase price. There are 2 requirements for that. One is they have to be a first-time home buyer, and we use the 3-year Fannie Mae rule for that. Just one buyer on the transaction needs to be a first-timer. And the second requirement is you have to take home buyer ed. You do that on the phone, takes about an hour, and you have to do it before you sign a contract. I had a very sad situation this week where the person didn't get it done, and they lost out on $2,000. So that's a hard and fast rule, no exceptions prior to contract. So make sure you note that one. And that applies to closing costs because we're the lender. I mentioned a second way to add funds to a campaign. It's called HomeFundIt. And you do that simply by shopping. So anyone can come into the campaign page here, click this button, and it opens up a world of online retailers, over 1,000 of them that are participating with us in HomeFundIt. And each one of them rebates a certain percentage of the purchase back to the down payment as a pledge at closing. And they all vary from 1% to 50% is the high one. And the average is around 7.6%. You're looking at Walmart, they were 4% recently. I just shopped at Home Depot the other day for someone, and it was 8% back to their campaign. So great deal, great way to get some additional funds into your down payment by doing what you're already doing. And you can invite all your family, friends, supporters, anybody can come in here and shop your campaign. And to make it super easy, we've created a Chrome widget that you can install on your Chrome browser. You don't even have to visit the campaign page. You just go straight to homedepot.com and it pops up and it automatically connects that shopping trip to whatever campaign that you're shopping for. So it's a great way for people to build a bunch of extra dollars, particularly if they have a long timeline and lots of shopping can be done over time. HomeFundIt's a great second way to add funds. All the stores you know and love are in here. It's very, very easy to pretty much just go shopping almost anywhere is connected in with HomeFundIt. And just like the gift money coming in that we bonus 2 to 1, we bonus those HomeFundIt pledges 2 to 1 as well. So if you got $4 back from spending some money at Walmart, you would get an $8 match towards your $2,000 lender grant. So it's within the $2,000. Now there's another way to get to that $2,000 lender grant, and that's simply by sharing your campaign. Lots of folks like to use social media to get the word out on their campaign. Well, each time they share, they get $10 towards that $2,000 lender grant. So Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, that's 30 bucks right there. If your friend is out there sharing for you, they could generate another 30 bucks very easily by sharing your campaign out on their social media platforms. So the bottom line is you can generate a lot of dollars very fast. We've actually had some campaigns go all the way to 2,000 simply by sharing. Now there was a question about Home Buyer Ed that came in regards to the Home Buyer Ed. Is there a specific course that the borrower needs to take? I'm going to show you that in just a second. We have a free version. It's over the phone. It takes about an hour, and I'll show you how to get there and how your buyer gets there. In fact, I'll show you very soon. Now, once your buyer sets up their campaign, it's very, very easy to do. Just takes a couple minutes, and I'll show you how they do that in just a second. They get to a campaign dashboard, and this is where they control their whole campaign from here. They can change their story, they can change their goals, they can customize everything on their campaign. They can jump right into Home Buyer Ed right from here. There's a to-do list and a go button, and you can see complete Home Buyer Ed. You just click the go button, and away you go. And that'll take you right to the Home Buyer Ed page. and they can get in touch with it's GreenPath, who we use for Homebuyer Ed for HomeFundIt, and it's free. Takes about an hour, and they're done. They can also jump right into pre-qual from here. So if they haven't filled out a loan application, they can start that process right here. Or if they've already filled out a loan application with us, they can connect that loan application to the campaign here. So it's a great way to go. They can also share their campaign, send updates, track their progress, etc. So they have full control over their campaign right here on the to-do list and from any of these other controls. Oops, I missed something. In the upper right, they can go in and do straight edits to their campaign page, and they can click a button that previews their campaign page, and that'll take them to the public-facing side of their campaign, and that's what they're going to share with their family and their friends. So here's how the timeline kind of works, and I'm going to focus on when you're using Fannie Mae, FHA, VA, Jumbo, USDA loans. You set up your campaign page, and let's say you have a long time. You could shop with UpIt initially and not do any fundraising for a while, because let's say you're a year out from buying a home. There's no minimum age to set up a campaign page. So in fact, we recently closed a deal in November for a student that had set it up as a junior in college. And she finished up her senior year, graduated, and bought a house, all with HomeFundIt. So the bottom line is you don't have to be even 18 to be able to set up a campaign page. Just need to be 18 to be able to take out a loan. So you can shop with UpIt for an unlimited time, have your family and friends help you. You can start fundraising anytime you want. Usually that process runs about 4 to 12 weeks. Once people start fundraising and telling their family and friends about it, the money tends to come in fairly quickly. They don't have to chase them around for months and months. It kind of comes in from the folks who are inclined to donate. Of course, you want to get pre-qualified before you go out house hunting. Get your home buyer ed done before you get into contract. And with these loans, Fannie Mae, FHA, VA, Jumbo, USDA, you want to deposit the funds from your fundraising into your bank account because they need to be seasoned. And that's generally 2 bank statements before you submit your final loan application for underwriting. There's an ACH button on the control panel, and that allows your buyer to go ahead and dump those funds into their bank account. And you want to do that at least 2 bank statements so that you get those funds seasoned before you submit everything for underwriting. And then at the end, you're going to close. Your $2,000 is there because you've been fundraising, and you have dollars coming in from UpIt. Now, I get a lot of questions. What happens if I don't have enough time to season those funds? Well, those funds can't be used in the transaction, so you got a couple options. One of them is you can shoot those funds out to a totally unrelated account. Don't get them tangled up in the transaction. It's your money. Just send it somewhere else. This is what most people do. They hold those funds in the campaign until after closing, and then they simply use those funds for repairs on things that the seller wouldn't fix or upgrades after they've closed. Because as we all know, there's a lot of requirements after you close for spending money on stuff. So we see that in about half the cases, people leave the money in there till after closing because they didn't have enough time to season them. And about half the time, they get the funds in there in time to season them. Now, if you're using a Freddie Mac loan, process is similar, except you can fundraise almost right out to the very end when you submit your loan application for final underwriting. There's no seasoning required, and there's no requirement to dump the funds into your bank account. We wire the gift funds to closing at the very end automatically. So if you're using Freddie Mac, and this is the big change that's starting on Monday, and it does apply to campaigns that are in the pipeline that are underwritten with LP. Conventional, conforming, and Home Possible are both the 2 types of programs that we use there. And any Freddie Mac deal that goes through, no seasoning required. In fact, if you underwrite with LP, the ACH button on the dashboard will disappear, and it'll automatically wire those funds at the end right into closing. So it's a great way to go. It totally is going to streamline the process. It's how we used to do these deals a long time ago. And so we're going back to that with Freddie Mac programs. And hopefully Fannie Mae will follow suit at the end. Program stats to date, 1,215 campaigns, $300 million in real estate purchased. Average loan amount is pretty typical. We've seen very large ones because we work with any program, including Jumbo. Median donations around 500, although we see big ones, we see small ones, just depends. Average FICO 736, average home buyer age 36. Top 10 campaigns. Remember, there's no limit on how much you can raise on HomeFundIt. So they're very large. We've seen some very large ones. Again, the sweet spot campaign, 5 to 15,000 is probably what we would call the sweet spot. And that's usually like 5 to 15 donors, $5 to $15,000. And that's for a campaign with a good photo. Usually they customize their photo. They're sharing the story with their family and friends, not just telling mom and dad. And then they share, right? They get the word out. They put it on social sometimes, not always, email, almost always, people are telling people. And they invite people to come by and visit the page, donate to the campaign, or simply shop using UpIt. I mean, it's kind of the easy soft ask is tell people, hey, just shop with UpIt. And then oftentimes they'll do both. And make sure that they're telling people about the Chrome extension, because that makes the UpIt shopping a lot easier. Here's a look at a typical sweet spot campaign. Good photo, good story. This was a couple who had recently got married. They went back to the same group of folks who had come to their wedding. They were only expecting their parents to give. And this is actually in a video that you can watch. It's one of the testimonial videos that we have. Instead, 13 people gave, almost 11,000. It put them much faster into a home. It was just a great, well, again, what we would call a sweet spot campaign in that $5,000 to $15,000 range, 5 to 15 gifters. Most of our campaigns feature family, because of course that's who's, you know, they're talking to generally, who their audience is. So they put family in there. The one on the right raised $32,000. Dream House, we see that occasionally. We see a lot of wedding related campaigns. There's obviously a built-in audience here. It's very, very easy, since this is a web page, to connect it to the wedding wire, to the knot, to your wedding website, to the spruce, etc. It's a huge opportunity for real estate agents and loan officers. Pretty much every weekend, I think this spring, I've heard of a loan officer and or real estate agent doing Wedding Expo with this. They basically grab a table, set up a laptop, and they can sign up buyers right there, right? This is a huge opportunity. It's way better than asking for a toaster or panini machine, which you probably already own. And it's way easier for your guests, right? Because it's easier for your guests, and probably more meaningful for them to come by and make a donation to a down payment fund versus try to figure out if you want a silver toaster or a black toaster, you know. So the bottom line is, it's a great opportunity for business building for you guys. Hope you'll take advantage of that. Here's another business building segment, solo buyers. We see a lot of these. And this is a great opportunity for you to tap into that next generation of buyers, right? It's a tough generation to tap into because you've done business with their parents, and the traditional ask is, hey, call me when your kids are ready to buy a house, right? And you hope they do, you hope they remember, and you hope something didn't happen in between that ask and when they are actually ready, which could be months or maybe even years. But the bottom line is, you can set these HomeFundIt campaigns up anytime. So as long as that young person is kind of getting close to, coming out of college or starting that first job, talk to the parents, get the family to set up a HomeFundIt campaign for their kid, and then they can start shopping with UpIt, doing what they do. And then as that young person gets going in their career, gets their first job, etc., and gets their feet under them, they'll be already ahead. And it's exactly the story of this buyer that I was telling you about a minute ago. They started their campaign while they were a junior in college, graduated, bought a house, and it wasn't a small house. It was $380,000 or something like that. Bottom line is, they did very well, raised a lot of money from a lot of folks. So the bottom line is, get started, talk to your older clients about getting their kids set up on one of these campaigns, and that'll help you tap into that next generation of buyers. And importantly, you're locking in that future purchase no matter how long that timeline is. So how do you get the word out to your buyers if you're a real estate agent? Well, we've got a great tool here called the Real Estate Agent Portal. It is a landing page that serves as a starting point for your buyers. It's got your branding on it. It sets up very, very quickly. It's got some great marketing tools in it, and it doesn't cost anything. It's got your branding on it, as I said. It's got your picture and contact information. It's got a big green button where your buyers can start a HomeFundIt campaign very, very easily. And the nice thing is that campaigns can be linked to you and the loan officer automatically if they come through this portal. It's got an About Me statement. It's got a contact form that allows people to get back in touch with you, and this goes into your email when they fill it out. It's got video that explains how the program works, and press clippings so people can kind of check things out on what's been said about the program. Once you get some campaigns up and running, there's an Active and Successful Campaigns tab. It's a showcase for your campaigns, in other words. And these are all live. You can click right into them, and people can see. Now, we've got a lot of agents that have multiple campaigns up and running. And when you get your campaigns up and running for your buyers do, you'll be able to match donations in there if you want to do it. This is an option, and it's only available in, I think, 40 states where you can do this, and that's listed on the portal as well. But it allows you to do a dollar-for-dollar match on any donations that are coming into that campaign. There's 3 great reasons to do that. One is it's the incentive, right? Because as they raise money, you're matching that money, so it incentivizes them to do it. And by the way, the match is a pledge at closing, so you're not actually putting in dollars until they buy the house. The second reason is it's a retention tool, because the more they raise, the more your match, the more the retention factor happens. And then thirdly, it's free publicity, right? Because every time somebody donates, you have an automatic match that pops in there, which makes you look really good in front of that entire buyer or donor network. So the bottom line is it's a great thing to do. And again, it's a dollar for dollar up to however much you want on that match. You can cap it at any amount. I usually see 500 is what I see a lot of times, sometimes 1,000. Now, inside your portal, there are a bunch of testimonial videos in a marketing section. You click on the marketing button, go into the videos tab, and there are these 7 testimonial videos in there. And the really great thing about these testimonial videos is that unlike a Vimeo link or a YouTube link and just sharing that, these come out in this branded player with your branding built right onto the video, your contact, your branding, and everything. Plus, it's ready to share. It's got some easy share buttons right underneath the video, and it's got a contact form. So wherever this video goes, it's very easy for people to get back in touch with you. There's 7 of these in there, all different types of buyer stories and how they've been helped by HomeFundIt. I tell people, push these out there on Fridays, and you've got 7-week rotation of social media advertising that you can do. It's very, very easy to push these out there. You just click the social link underneath. You can see my branding on this one. And it pops up a share on Facebook if you're logged in. All you got to do is put in a little bit of call to action copy at the very beginning. We've pre-written that. I'll show you how to get that. Click the share button and you're done for the weekend. That's it. That's your marketing, right? And what have you just done? Well, you've pushed that out onto your social feed. You're getting that in front of folks who basically need a solution to the big problem, right? And you've got the solution. You've got a video. Video is the most intrusive element you can put out there on Facebook or LinkedIn. And so the bottom line is these are really, really powerful tools for generating leads. If you have a Facebook page, as you guys know, you can boost that post and get it in front of all kinds of folks that don't currently follow you. You can target people who are using mortgage calculators, looking at Zillow, doing all kinds of things that first-time home buyers tend to do. $50 a weekend, you can get in front of thousands of people doing this with that video. Again, you'll differentiate yourself. While everybody else is out there is pushing listings, you're pushing a solution to the #1 problem that a buyer has. And it's a very interesting video that'll drive people to you. Inside your portal, there's a Facebook marketing kit that shows you how to do all this if you haven't done a lot of these posts and stuff. And importantly, for each one of those videos, there's a page that corresponds to that video. And then all you got to do is copy the pre-written call to action text right into your post and hit the post button, and that's it. So you don't even have to think up anything to put at the top of the post. You just steal what we wrote, stick it in there, hit the post button, and your social media advertising is done for the weekend. Okay, so how do you get one of these portals? Really easy. Just go to realtor.homefundit.com, realtor.homefundit.com. Put in your name, email, pick a password, and put in some information about your company. Pick a name for your site. Usually that's first name, last name, Doug Test or whatever. and then upload your logo, upload your picture. Those are the only two things you have to have handy. Write a little about me statement or copy it in from your website. There's a spot for a disclaimer if you need that. And then importantly, choose the loan officer from the drop-down list here on the drop-down. And that'll link your loan officer to your portal so that both of you are featured on all the campaigns that are coming in there. Last thing you got to do is decide if you want to do one of those matches. And again, there's 40 states that allow realtor fee negotiations. Usually I see 500 or 1,000. Again, it's optional, but there's lots of good reasons to do it. Realtor.homefundit.com. And when you get one of these portals up and running, you got a client that has a campaign running, you'll get weekly email statements to loan officer, real estate agent, and campaigner, updating everybody on how things are going, and it's every week. The nice thing is this allows you to get some branding in front of your client every single week, right? And it gives them an update on how they're doing. And then anytime somebody shops, shares, donates, there's an activity triggered email that goes out to all three of you, and it says somebody just donated, somebody just shopped. So it's a great way to kind of keep the energy up on these things, particularly over campaigns that are going on for a long time. Okay, last section here. Wanted to touch base on another way to get the program out. We have a lot of folks that work with companies or organizations of some sort, have relationships. We've built a affinity portal that a company can put up to help their buyers or their employees or their members go from renting houses to owning houses a little bit faster. As you can see here, you're looking at Graceland University. They're out in southern Iowa. It's actually where Caitlyn Jenner went to college. And they've got their logo here. This is a picture from their campus. And this is where their employees can start a down payment campaign. It's very easy, sets up really quick. The company can actually match into it. It's got some collateral built into the back end, so their admin person in HR can share that with employees who have questions. It doesn't cost them anything. And because it's a web page, they just link to it from their HR website. It's one of their benefits. So if you've got a relationship in a company, you're interested in getting this in front of them, I can help you with a presentation. It's very easy. We just set them up and have a meeting. I've got one of those scheduled this afternoon. And basically, we share the same stuff that we've just been walking through with the company, show them how the program works, and we can even have a portal mocked up for them ready to go. And basically, they're going to use it as an HR benefit effectively. You'll notice that your branding and our branding is not on there. This is their page. This is their tool that they're using for their employees. So again, if there's an interest there, let me know and we can help you get things started. So to kind of wrap up here, let's take a look at the purchase process today. Today, the purchase process is kind of long. They go through all these life stages and they get to a place where they're ready to buy a house, right? And the typical starting point is kind of down at the end of the line here. They call a real estate agent, they call a loan officer. But with HomeFundIt, you have this unique opportunity to start that relationship super early. As I've been saying, as early as while that person is still in school, even in some cases. And just before they get that first job even. Doesn't really matter, but you're going to jump the gun on anybody else who's waiting till the very end, right? So you're setting up that campaign page as a buyer. You're using UpIt maybe for a while first before you get ready. And then you're just going into regular contributions. In all cases, you're going to be ready to buy a home sooner because you're getting more help from outside than you would have gotten in the normal scenario. So we've accelerated the process. You've preempted all of your competition, and you've got a lock on this person from way upstream. So there's a huge opportunity here by getting people set up on these campaign pages. It all boils down to that, getting people on these campaign pages. So key takeaways for realtors, loan officers, you're speeding up that process, getting them stronger, getting them ready to buy sooner. And for the ones that don't, they don't want to buy right today, they have a longer time horizon, you've got a tool on which you can lock that person in for this long range journey, right? And you look at our top HomeFundIt producers out there, they've got them stacked up like airplanes coming into an airport. Some of them are a long way away, right? Some of them are halfway there, and some of them they just turned into the runway, into the landing pattern, a month before, and they found out about HomeFundIt. That's not in your control, that's in the buyer's control. We just give them that landing pattern to get into, and we can hold them in that all the way through to landing. So that's the way to think about HomeFundIt from a short and long range standpoint. For your clients, you've taken the friction out of gifting and you've opened up possibilities to more people helping. So right now, your buyer is basically excluding lots of people that would love to help because they don't want to hassle them with all the paperwork and all of the paper checks and hassle factor that goes into down payment gifting today. But when you take the friction out of that and you tell your buyer about that, they will think of some ways for other people to help. Trust me, they need the help and they're really motivated to think of those ways, and they do, right? And there's two ways to do it. There's donations, shopping, or both. So to get started, again, if you're a real estate agent or if you have realtor referral partners, make sure you get set up, set everybody up on realtor.homefundit.com. And again, this is just for real estate agents. If you're a loan officer, you want to make sure your real estate agents set those up because that's the best front door to bring people in. It automatically links the buyer to both you and the real estate agent in the campaign all at the same time. And again, for short range buyers, bring it up. Top producers for HomeFundIt basically bring it up at every buyer discussion. Not every buyer uses it, but a very large percentage of them will. Have them set up a campaign page. It's easy, fast, free, and it really works. And for your longer range clients, think about that pipeline, right? So think about updating your older clients who have access to that next generation of home buyers that you want to tap into, right? This is the perfect tool to get those folks set up on those things. Look at opportunities like wedding expos. Those are huge opportunities for these longer range buyers that are planning, right, to someday buy a home. And do the basics, posting those testimonial videos to get the word out, drive leads, emailing links to your portal to folks in your weekly emails that go out to all your clients or whatever. And do the basics like updating your signature block with a link to your portal or a link to one of those videos. It's a great way to just make sure that you keep it out there in front of folks. And I've seen some great signature blocks. And that is the HomeFundIt program, the actual platform itself, the realtor portal, the affinity opportunity. And I hope you found that really interesting. I'll stick around for Q&A as needed. Feel free to type them in. Either the question panel or the chat panel will work. Let's see. Homebuyer Ed question. Limit per donor is now 5,000. Yes, that has gone down from 7,500. That was part of a new Freddie Mac request as part of going back to be able to do no seasoning. They wanted to cap it at 5,000. But our analysis is that basically the gifting, there's not a ton of gifts in that 5,000 to 7,500 range. And again, mom can give 5,000, dad can give 5,000, etc. Question, is the program limited to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loans? No, you can use it with any loan program, including jumbo, including USDA, FHA, VA, Fannie and Freddie. You just cannot use it with HFA bond programs at this time. And again, it's the Freddie Mac deals that we can do no seasoning on, which is pretty cool. Okay. And I think I did answer the Homebuyer Ed question. Homebuyer Ed, basically the buyer starts that from their control panel. They just click the go button on their to-do list. It takes them to the Homebuyer Ed page. Homebuyer Ed page explains what they need to do. And that's pretty much it. And it's free. Now, if for some reason you already have done Homebuyer Ed, I think Homebuyer Ed's good for a year. If you already did it directly through some other Homebuyer Ed, as long as it is FHFA approved, which is Fannie Freddie approved, we'll accept it. I just had one of those come in the other day. It was not done through GreenPath. It was done through another organization. But as long as it's an approved program, we're fine with that. Another question that came in, where can loan officers get this presentation for the program? I've got a great link for you here. Actually, I'm not going to put that in because it's got some outdated materials in it right now. I will send out, if you send me a quick email, dnesbitt@cmgfi.com, I'll send you back a copy of the presentation. Happy to do that. And if you're interested in doing a live presentation or a presentation for an office of agents or loan officers, both, I do presentations all the time. So hit me up on that and we'll get that set up. Basically, we can do a dedicated Zoom for your group. Usually doing at least one of those a day for various offices. So let me know if you want to do a group for any group that you want. When I say loan officer, you're talking about a HomeFundIt loan officer. Yeah, so loan officers basically would be any CMG retail or joint venture partner loan officer. And so that would be any of our retail or JV partners. And HomeFundIt is exclusive to CMG and its partners. So that would be Epic, Welcome Home Funding, Next Mortgage, etc. Okay, another question. Excuse me. If they go Freddie and the funds get wired directly to title, what happens to extra funds? If they only need $10,000 for the down payment and closing costs, but they raise $15,000, where does the additional $5,000 go? So basically all of that would get taken care of at closing. So extra funds beyond what's needed for a down payment can be used for closing costs. They can be used to buy down the rate on the loan. So you can pretty much decide how you want to utilize those funds if you only need that. So that would be all reflected on the closing documents. But yeah, you can use extra dollars. Now, the one thing you cannot do is you can't use the $2,000 grant that we apply to lender credit as a lender credit. You can't use that towards down payment. So it can't go the other way. You can only use that for closing costs and or buying down the rate. But you can't use that for down payment. But any down payment funds completely belong to the buyer. And a corollary question that I often get, which I haven't seen yet today, is what happens if they decide not to buy a house? I bet you guys were all wondering that. That happens occasionally. It doesn't happen very often once they start fundraising. I think I've only seen it, I could probably count them on one or two hands here. The number of times I've seen someone start fundraising and then have to stop and not buy a house. They usually, once they start fundraising, it's 99.99% of the time they're going all the way. We never lose them at that point, hardly. But occasionally something will happen where they start a campaign and they haven't fundraised. If they go away, there's no loss there. But if they do fundraise and they have to stop, we can either, we can release those funds via ACH to that person right there. It's their money, so we can release them via ACH, or we can ungift the funds if the credit card or debit card from which the funds came are still valid. We can send it back up the line to the donors. And most of the time, that's what happens. Usually if someone has to stop fundraising, something's happened, like they lost their job or they had a health issue or a family issue. And we've pretty much seen that the range of those things. And almost all the time they say, can you give the money back to the people who donated? Because I can't take their money if I'm not going to buy a house. But again, that's rare. I think out of 1,200 deals, we've seen only a handful of those. Once they start fundraising, they're pretty well on the glide path to finishing. And that's because they don't really want to ask their family and friends for funds unless they're pretty sure they can do the deal. So it's pretty interesting. Is there a limit on up-it per shopper, and is there a max timeline to build up funds on the campaign? No. No limit on time for the campaign, whether that's up-it or fundraising. You can do it as long as you want. And there's no max amount on up-it shopping or how much you can raise on the campaign. The only limit is a $5,000 per donor limit. Okay, I think I ran out of questions. And again, if you'd like a copy of the presentation, let me know. Yeah, I am actually, since there's a whole lot of folks on, I am gonna do what I said I wasn't gonna do, which is I'm gonna give you guys a link to the HomeFundIt starter kit. And I have not updated this kit yet. So please, 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 if you're listening to me, do not take everything literally in this kit. I'm gonna trust you guys on this now. And hang on a second here. It's gonna go in chat. And so if you are hearing me, in chat there is a link. It does give people some problems with the link. Sometimes copying it out of chat will sometimes mess it up depending on your computer. So if you get stuck and this link doesn't work, email me. But what's in here is a zip file. You download it, stick it on your computer, unzip it, and in this zip file, there is a couple flyers that are great to get started with. We have flyers on Surefire that are customizable. These are not, these are just generic ones. There is a cheat sheet in there, and the cheat sheet basically has a summary of the program. And the important thing is the links to videos and things like that, to trainings and so forth. There's an FAQ document. All of these are out of date right now because we just got this news in that we can roll this thing. So this kit is a little out of date. It's going to say 7,500 in there. It's 5,000 now, right? It's going to say you have to season everything. Well, the answer is you have to season everything except for Freddie Mac stuff. So a few things are out of date now in these documents that I just put, but I think it's more important that you have them than you don't have them. So that's why I'm trusting you with this. Why I'm trusting you with this link and putting all these disclaimers on it. So, if you read these and you think it's 7,500 now, then please remember what I just said. It's 5,000. Okay. I don't see any other questions. Oh, wait, I got a couple more here. Do people need to shop online for Up-It? Great question, actually. Yes, because that's the only way it can connect to the campaign. You couldn't go directly into Target, the store, and they wouldn't know what to do, basically. So the bottom line is, yeah, you got to go through the link online. And if you go online and you don't have the Chrome extension installed, or you didn't go through the campaign page, it won't know either. All right, so you either have to go through the campaign page or have the Chrome extension installed. Where can we get a list of retail loan officers? Great question. Go to cmgfi.com, cmgfi.com, and at the top there it'll say find a loan officer, and you just click that and it opens up a map, and depending on where you are, it'll show all the loan officers. So, all right. Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in. It's 10:45 here on the West Coast, and again, thank you guys for being on the call today. This is great, and I'm here for any questions that you have down the road. You can jot down my email address. I've got a team of folks that reaches out to campaigners as well as solves problems that come up along the way. So we're here to support you. We're here to help you grow your business with this tool. And I hope you'll take advantage of it, because it really is a game changer out there. It'll differentiate you in the marketplace. And in many cases, it'll really be a game changer for your buyer, and encourage you to share it with all of them. So again, thanks for being on the call today. I'll let you guys go now. Again, appreciate it. And we'll see you out there on the HomeFundIt trail in the days and weeks ahead. Take care, everybody. Bye now.